Excellent. Life is a Cabernet. We are a specialist wine touring organization, and we have four immediate wine regions in South Australia, the Barossa, which I think most people in the United States would know, responsible for producing 40% of Australia's wine, but 66% of all the wine that you see in the United States from Australia comes from Kangaroo Island. McLaren Vale. No, sorry. I've just been inundated with Kangaroo Island. I need to say South Australia. You know, it is early here. Yeah. And we have the McLaren Vale wine region, and we have the Adelaide Hills and the Clare Valley. Not to mention there is great wine on Kangaroo Island, but I'll let the other guys tell you about that. They can take you down there. So what we do, oh, look, I have a beer in my hand. We do also make sure that you enjoy a beer on the way home. We like to say that we provide people with antioxidant therapy, which is a great way of getting your antioxidants. But in Australia, a cleansing ale is a great way to finish the day. And so is the Jimmy Buffett concert, as a matter of fact, and that particular shot was taken at Jimmy's Sydney concert just before he fell off of the stage. And we're very pleased to say he landed on something soft, his head, and he made it through for another day. You never know who's going to turn up on our tours. We have a lot of interesting people. As a matter of fact, everybody that comes on our tour is interesting. Fellow second from the left right there, you might know as the USA Bachelor. They shipped him over here, and he was getting ready to buy a lovely gift. Those are some Americans that happened to find him at one of our tasting counters. That was at a place called Two Hands. And interesting thing about Two Hands wine, for those Sex and the City fiends, who's the star of Sex and the City? Sarah Jessica Parker. She was being served her Shiraz in the restaurant. The waiter said, "Here's your Shiraz." It happened to be a Shiraz from Two Hands. So that's very good product placement. Anyways, the Bachelor came. The koala was already taken. But even on our wine tours, you'll be amazed at what we find along the way. Because all our tours are personalized, we're able to get off the wine track and duck into places along the way. So if somebody had a definite, I need to meet a koala experience, you know you're able to do that on the way to the Barossa Valley or on the way to McLaren Vale. So whatever it is that our guests need on the day, we're able to construct it for them. We've moved into a new area, and that is a luxury coach tour. All our experiences have been one-on-one over the years, but something that we have learned in recent times, and the elephant in the room is that the U.S. dollar is now the same as the Aussie dollar, or in some places a little bit less. And so therefore, luxury experiences have become a little bit more difficult to engineer for some people. So we've been able to provide a similar one-on-one luxury experience in a group setting. So we're in the Clare Valley on this particular occasion, and that's our customized 24-seat bus. We run it on any day that it's required. We do have 3 scheduled departures, Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday. But if you had a group that were on a restricted budget, it's amazing what we can create in the luxury field. Again, we have interesting people come visit us. The man on the right is Charles Melton, a feature winemaker in the Barossa Valley. His most famous wine, something called the Nine Popes, which is a derivation of France's Chateauneuf de Pape. And the man sitting there with the baseball cap, none other than Tom Colicchio, better known as Top Chef in the United States, and his program this year won the Emmy Award for #1 reality and cooking program. Tom was over in the Barossa Valley, absolutely amazed at what he was experiencing in the world of fresh, fine dining. The same sort of thing you'll find on Kangaroo Island. Freshness and quality is something that we're cursed with here in South Australia. So when you come and join us, you're just going to have to put up with some of the best food and gourmet experience and wine that you've seen anywhere in the world. We have all sorts of wonderful people that come down and visit us. You might even notice somebody from our Los Angeles office there showing us around in a place called St. Hallett. St. Hallett in the Barossa Valley have great exposure in the United States. And something that we found that our visitors in the U.S. love is to be able to come home and be able to relive those experiences with some of the great wines that they tasted. And so it's good to know that we try to feature as many boutique wineries that do have representation in the United States, so you can relive the ambiance and great experience that you've had with us. We also use our style of luxury vehicle. We use Chryslers in Australia, which are rarities because they're fully imported. Our Chrysler Grand Voyagers, you probably know them as Dodge Caravans, are built in Austria on the Mercedes assembly line. And so, as a rule, the cars are very strict, as most German things are. One of the things that we find with our six-seaters here, extremely comfortable, and we dedicate the vehicles to the guests. We also use the Chrysler 300C luxury sedan for our couples, and they're fully appointed, and we even make sure that we have iPod connectivity so people are able to, if they have their own music that they'd like to use along the way, they're very welcome to do so. One of the things that our company has featured over the last few years is that we're also called upon to transport all visiting artists in South Australia, and George Benson recently in the country. That's our entertainment center. Something that we also don't mind doing is taking people from hotels and dropping them into their evening things, almost in the way of transfers. We've expanded into that area, so we're also able to help you out with getting you, say, to and from the airport. Or if you're on a travel day, you're coming back from Kangaroo Island and you have 2 or 3 or 4 hours until you catch your international flight or your next domestic flight, we're able to provide you with an hourly rate that will show you some of the best that the city has to offer in the way of city tours, and also the Adelaide Hills, a wine region that's only 25 minutes away. We've been doing a lot of special interest groups over the years. Here are a few girls that are just getting ready to, there's one of the girls that are getting ready to get married. They call those hens days here in Australia. And look, depending, if you need to get married, we might even be able to help you out there. Our own Matty Guy and his lovely bride were hitched by yours truly. Well, there's
and
Jimmy.
We are still together too, mind you. I thought I'd just throw that in there, so it has worked.
Yeah, so you see, it's legal, and they even have a beautiful child. And who would have thought that Matt Guy would have produced such a beautiful child? But he did have a gorgeous bride. Well, there we are. One of my other functions in life is I'm very fortunate, as having been trained as a television cameraman. I get to scoot around the place a little bit. And when I am in the U.S., my best friend is Jimmy's video director, and I get invited on tour to take shots like this. And we were really pleased to know that Jimmy survived his fall at the Horden Pavilion. It was really quite scary. This particular shot taken on the stage of the Sydney Opera House, and never had the Opera House seen a concert quite like Parrot Heads arriving. You might notice just next to the acoustic guitar sitting on the stand, there's a beer. Never before have beers been allowed inside the great concert hall of the Opera House, but the ushers just gave up, and they walked away, and it was really quite an interesting night out. We're at a wonderful place here called Rockford's in the Barossa Valley. Those Oneophiles in the U.S. would know that Rockford's Basket Press is one of the most sought-after Shirazes in the country. And, well, you can see having fun is what we're all about, and getting people into places that you could probably never normally get into. Well, you know, if you're not going to have fun, you really shouldn't be joining us, because that's what we really like to do. And it doesn't matter if you're a wine expert. You know, a lot of people say to us, we're not experts and we're not connoisseurs, and our response to that is, if you know what you like, that makes you a connoisseur. And so we just make sure that our drivers match up the palate of our guests on the day to the wineries you go to. So every day is completely different for us, and that's what makes it fun for us to be able to make sure that your guests get the best experience they possibly can. And just us cruising around in the bus again at the South Australian Entertainment Centre, which is just a great little venue. So if you need anything whatsoever with regards to transport and touring, if you need wine, if you need your guests babysat for a few hours in between hotel stays, whatever it is you need, just drop us a line and we'd be, oh, there you go. Maite spotted that picture of herself, and wasn't she looking fabulous on the day? Hey, folks, thank you very much for spending some time with us, and we look forward to hearing from you in the very near future.
Thanks, Ralph. Entertaining as always. We have got a couple of questions through. One is about holding koalas in South Australia, and I know that a few people are confused about the regulations on this. There's only 2 places in Australia you can do it. You can do it in Queensland, and you can do it in South Australia, and a couple of the places that Ralph mentioned, Gorge Wildlife Park, which is a beautiful part in the Adelaide Hills on the way up to the Barossa. It's often done, and also Cleveland Wildlife Park's another popular place to cuddle a koala. So you can definitely combine your wine tasting with the nature experience and get that snap of yourself holding a koala, which I know a lot of Americans want to do.
John, I see there's one question up on the screen that we might answer. And can we ship wine back to the U.S.? At this point in time, we would say no. With the anniversary of 9/11, sensitivities have become very pronounced. There are all sorts of things with regards to bioterrorism. And unless, at this point in time, unless you are a winery dealing on a large scale, you can do it. We would like to think in the next 2 or 3 months that will be available to people like myself again, but at this stage it's going to be very difficult. And that's another reason we go to wineries where folks will be able to find those wines in the U.S. People are able to take 2 liters in their luggage, in their packed luggage back with them, or if they wanted to take a dozen back, we have special styrofoam containers. They can check it as luggage. It's 17 kilos for a dozen, and I've always found that if you declare that on your way back into the United States, there's nobody in customs knows how to open the magic book to tell you what the tariff on that is, and they usually let you through. So I hope that addresses that question.
And also we've got quite a few Canadian agents online as well, Ralph. Is that the same situation with the Canadian
Canada
market?
is probably the hardest country in the world to get Australian wine into because of the LCBO, the Liquor Licensing Control Board of Ontario, and also on the West Coast in Vancouver. The Canadian authorities make a huge amount of money on tax on wine, and I would not even want to try to ship wine into Canada. What I suggest you do is if you live anywhere near the West Coast, have a friend in Seattle, and you can drive across the border and pick it up. Or if you're towards Montreal or Toronto, get a friend in Buffalo. Yeah, wine into Canada is a very difficult proposition.
All right, thanks for that feedback, because I know that's a pretty popular question that's asked for clients. We're actually going to round it out now. If you have typed in a question we haven't answered it yet, we'll make sure the operators get back to you. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you again, Matt.
My pleasure. Look forward to next time.
And as I said, we are going to have one more webinar that's going to be conducted. It's going to consist of Exceptional Kangaroo Island and also Great Southern Rail. We're just checking back with those 2 operators as to when that's going to happen, and then we're going to launch a new webinar series a little bit earlier this year due to the fact we're going to try and avoid the daylight saving issue so we can get a few more East Coasters tuning in. If you are on the East Coast, thank you again for dialing in so late in the day. Just a final reminder as well, if you have missed part of the webinar today or you know of another agent that would like to see some of these episodes, they are available on our YouTube channel, and we'll be sending an email out with all those notifications and the latest video clips that we've uploaded. So thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to joining with you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.